Okay, so get your paper 2. We stopped at question on the currency the other day. On this box plus the other day that I've taken one of your example and showed how a good one looks like. And this is a good one as well because you got the median, you got the interquartile range, and then you have show both, and then you have all the details, and then you break it down comparing only two things from now on is the interquartile range and the median. That's all the exam board want now. They do not want anything else. If you see some older marking scheme, they will give you the range and other things, but from now on, just make sure that you just do median and interquartile range. So let's start from question 11. Many of you actually did not use the way that I use or this teacher used. I use the same way because I find that it's easier is when you think that something is inversely proportional, then you find out what is that one. If I only have one person doing it, how long it will take. This time is a machine. So how many hours will that one machine gives me, and then I share that job to how many machines I have got. I found that it's the easiest because because I have 8 machines, and then it will take 19 hours in total. So I would definitely just times it. Now this doesn't really matter much, it's just a task. Sometimes they put a number in to confuse you. If a machine needs 19 hours to complete a task, does not matter that 1,000. Don't think that you need to use it in any form or any way. Then you know that if that's just one poor machine, do that all the job, and then you will need 152 hours to do that. But now you actually have 17 machines, so you should be able to divide it and then less than 9 hours. Some of you do it differently. It took me a while to get you to your head. It will be accepted, but just think that this is the most straightforward and the most commonly used method. Okay, if you need to copy it down, copy it down. And I will also send you a link of this video so that if you can't copy it quick enough, you can always copy it later. So this one is a good one because all of you actually got it right. I don't recall anyone got it wrong, and some of you may not get this mark is because you did not write the conclusion, but you know the ideas. This one is a -2, it's careless mistake. Many of you got it right, it's just careless mistake. Some of you did not make it correct just because of a bit off. Double check. How do I double check? After I've done something, the first thing I'm double checking will be, is that enlarged by 2? That enlarged by 1, 2. So I know that is enlarged by 2. And the height, that is 1 portion. So that is 1, that is 2. And then the base, that is 1, that is 2. So I should have 1, 2. So 4 become 8. Then how can I make my position, make sure it's correct is, use purple. Can you see from here, it kind of like this much of a diagonal. So that's 1. And when on this side, I need 2 of this. So that diagonal. So you always double check. So because that 2 mark is easy 2 marks, you cannot afford to miss these easy marks. Otherwise, you will not get the grade that you want. This one is capture, recapture topic. New to GCSE 9 to 1, but it is actually not that difficult. It's just the name that confuses people. Just think about scale it up in a bigger portion. If I have something happened on a Friday, the fraction of it will be the same as Saturday. So that must be the total, the bigger number will be the total overall, and then out of what is the small number. So the fraction will always look like this. It's always the bigger number, the total number at the bottom, and then out of this. Then if you don't know, use the skill that I've told you about forming equation, because pretend you know about x, and then x must be a bigger number, so as the denominator, and then out of 92 is on Friday. Form an equation like this, and this is the equation. So what you can do, you can cross multiply. 23x equal 130 times 92. Then you divide both sides by 23 and use calculator because it's a paper 2. So remember, cross multiply when it's equal, And then let's recapture topic. Then the next one, this one I have gone through it with you already, but what I have found is it may not have been embedded to your learning yet because it's a difficult questions. So I'm going to repeat in here, so some of you may want to listen again on YouTube. I have two ratios here. One is before, one is after. This is the before and that is the after. Remember, ratio is like the boxes, and then you will have a value inside the boxes, and you can treat that like x because the box size should be the same, so it's x. Then let's look at the equation that we form. Equation, we pretend we know what is x, and I know that if I know which amount of each box is, I can times it by 7. That will be the initial amount. And then if I do that, that was 7x, that is 6x. And then that is the amount. Amount add amount, this is new amount in total. Equal, well, the ratio, I told you, you can understand it as 15y over 13y. But because we know that it can be cancelled out, so we can actually write it as a ratio, or you can treat it like a ratio. Amount add amount divided by the amount as well on the left hand side. Actually, itself is a ratio, so it's doable. If you want to make it like amount equal to an amount, you need to have the y, but you can cancel out at the end. So that you are going to think, how can I make something equal? That is the new ratio, and that is the old ratio with the change. The original amount at 60, the ratio divided by 6x at 60 should be the same as the new one, because that is the new amount divided by the new amount, new and new, so equal. And then you can cross multiply, and like what we normally do. Then you will solve for x, and then read carefully. What do they want? They want to know the initial amount. X is the value of each box. I have 7 boxes here, I have 6 boxes there, so you need to multiply it. As I said, the one is harder than the real exam. Real exam is adding £1.50, and then it's not easier because you can spot that that make it more foundations grade. This one's harder, but this method, I will be drilling on this one, and then we're going to test on you next couple of weeks. Then 16. Filling the Venn diagram, many of you got 2 marks out of the 4. Be careful of a few things, is this one and this one. Let's look at it in detail. What is the difference between 12 by both drink A and drink B, but not C? A and B, but not C is, I don't want to include anything here. I don't want the C. But A and B means that it will be this bit here. So if I were you doing the exam, I will use my hand to cover C, and then my eye look at A and B, and then you should only see this part here if you have covered C, because I say not. So when I ask you to do the C not or A not, I ask you to use your finger, cover this up, and then you only see this and you put text there. So same techniques is, you do not let yourself confused by that. Then the next one, 17. 17 by drink A and drink C. Now, it did not say anything about A, so it is okay. So this time I'm just going to make my eyes look at B and C. I know that there is a small line here to confuse you, but does not matter because it is not restricted. So this part needs to add up to 17. At the beginning, you already know that 7, so the other one is going to be 10. And if it's 0, I will suggest you to put 0, although the masking will take a blank as a 0. But you will, when you're checking, you will think that you miss out something, and then you panic and then you put things in. And also don't miss out that it sometimes tells you a number at the top to help you to finish it off. So these are the questions. Then what is the problem basically for question 16 is this, the word given. That is so important, so important. I cannot stress myself enough. Given is the amount for the denominator. Given is the amount of the denominator. Let's have a look. Given that this customer buy drink B. Well, that is drink B. The total amount of drink B is 12, at 17, at 7, at 10. Given that, so given, think of a silly way, whatever way, think about given is the denominator. 46. Given is the denominator. Given is the denominator. And then out of that, you pick out what you want. Buy drink C. C is here. Buy drink C is this one here, 17. And I think I've give you 1 mark if you pick 17. If you give you 1 mark for 46. But this is easy mark. Just need to remember given is the denominator. Question 17. Question 17 is not a nicely answered question. Many of you get 2 marks out of the 4 on the top first one. The hurdles comes to, or the breakthrough comes to, here. Where did I get the 4 from? Many of you cannot go further. It's because you can't substitute. First, some of you did not do the half because hemisphere. Well, that will be a triangle because you want half of it. So tell yourself here you want half, put a triangle, take it off at the end. Then, where did I get the 4 from? If it's 8 here, half of it will be 4. It is the same as a sphere. Doesn't matter which way your radius is going to be the same. Once you get the 4, you can start substitute because you will have the R, that is your radius. I'm going to clear this off so that you can copy it down if any of you would like to. So the half and then 4 over 3 pi r cube. And then you can leave your answer like that for now. But I think some of you like to change it into decimal. You can work it out. Does not matter. Good. Cone again, because if you have find out this, you pretend you know, then write an expression y take away 4 as the radius, and this time it's the height. Sorry, it's the height for that. That is the height. So a third pi r square radius, because it's the same, times the height y take away 4, and then you can simplify it down. You can't do much here. You can expand. Can you see this? You expand. Half pi times 16 times y, and then the other one is half pi times 16 and then times a negative 4. That's how you have this one there, because your times is expand, so make it like a nice number and then times. If you can't do with pi, just put in pi 3.14. And then at the end, what do they want? They calculate the value of y. Well, they tell you that the volume of that is 150. So you form an equation. 150 is the cone at the half of the sphere's hemisphere. And then you can solve for equation. I'm going to clear it so that you can copy it down if I want to. And this teacher, she actually writes it quite clear what I do with the hemisphere, cone, and then what she's doing. So you may want to pause the video and copy it down. The next bit is explain the effect this would affect your answer in part A. Many of you actually got this one right, but I just need to make sure that you don't use the word change, because change is not going to help you. Because if the base of the cone of the diameter decrease and then the total volume does not change, well, you know that I need to have a taller height in order to compensate whatever has been decreased. So that will be an increase. Question 18, it's not bad. Careless mistake. I think some of your calculator is not working properly, because you can work up to kind of here correctly. The answer that people gave me is not right. Always check your calculator, maybe use sine 45 or sine 30 to test does it give you the exact value correctly before you head on to your calculator, because this affects your answer in here. So some of you did not get the full marks, not because of you don't know, it's because of the calculator. Then this one, first question nicely answered, second question is poorly answered, mainly because many of you forgot about inverse function. This teacher, she used the difficult way, which is letting the gx as y, let gx as y, that's step 1. Step 2 is make x the subject. Makes x the subject, so you rearrange it and then make x on its own. And then 3, swap x and y. So you give back because you want the input to be the output. But in order, just to save time, because look, it's just 3 marks, and it's a long process in my opinion, so I will do it this way. We want the inverse of g. So what happened to g is I have x, I times it by 3, I add 1, and I cube root the whole thing. So when I go reverse, I will cube x, take away 1 divided by 3, so will give me that. So I will say, when I write it, I can just draw this, no harm. Drawing is no harm. X, I want to cube, take away 1, the whole thing, because already by this point that whole thing exists already, so the whole thing needs to be divided by 3. Voila, is the answer. Just doing that save you these steps. Okay, so once you've done that, you find out the inverse of g is this. Then you're going to substitute to the h. What happened to h? H is 2. Now it says divided by x, but you know we can write it as 2 times 1 over xy, because like 3 divided by 4 is like 3 times a quarter, divided is same as that. Then what basically you can do is well, you can write it flip, or you divide, write it again, and then you flip. Maybe write it, divide, and then flip is easier for your understanding. If you don't understand why suddenly it will flip like that. And then you can cancel it down, 6 over 3 cube, take away 1. Okay, I will clear this mess, and then I'll let you copy it down if you need to. Okay. This one is a nicely answered questions. Many of you actually get full marks on the 4. It's no complications. The most complicated thing is to remember the rule only. That's nothing really complicated. So I stop here to let you copy it down if you need to, but not many of you need to. And this one, y at 21. Now that I really need you all to, every time you see the word fx, this bit fx, change it to a y, so that will be a negative y become a negative y. What does it mean? It means I need to make it smaller. Okay, smaller. So that means that if y is here, let's say is 1, that become a negative 1, it will be here. It will be on the flip, that let's say is 4, it will become negative 4. Well, it just need to be the opposite. So I do not understand why I've invented this quick method and you don't follow. Negative y. That fx every time cross it out, make y. It will make your life easier.